Ivy Valentine subscribes to Mark Yoon, so should you. Enjoy your treat!
A topic that I often hear brought up in the Soul Calibur community is, what if we give everybody, a version of Soul Calibur or Soul Edge? I think that is a really good idea, but I have a little bit of a twist on that idea. So, I think this solves two problems with once, so hopefully let's try and see if you agree with that, and if not, I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. Now, what I will start off with saying is that another thing that I hear tons of complaints about not coming back are two-player outfits and costumes. Let's solve both of these. So, what I think we should do is every character should have a version of themselves from 1 through 3. Stay with me. And their main weapon is their first weapon. Their second player outfit is their Soul Calibur outfit, like them possessed by Soul Calibur or utilizing Soul Calibur in some sort of Soul Calibur-esque garments. And then their third player costume should be a Soul Edge or a Malifested costume that wields their version of Soul Edge that's attached to their weapon. I think this would be awesome. I think there should also be a fourth slot where you can utilize the joke weapons, but we can have character creation for that, so that's not even that big of a deal. But I do think that we should have a Malifested version of every character and a Soul Calibur possessed version of every character. Now, I think this could not only lend to solving some of the issues for two-player outfits. Yes, we want classic two-player outfits also. I just think this is a good workaround, and it stops us from having to go into like the character creator and actually make those characters for ourselves. Because let's be honest, all of us want to see our favorite characters manifested or possessed by Soul Calibur and get that like super good power up. And not all characters have had that. So for example, there's characters that are more aligned with Soul Edge than Soul Calibur, and generally speaking, they'll have their version of their weapon wielding Soul Edge, but like they're not necessarily manifested or possessed from either story. And that completely changes when you're wielding it. If we look back to like Soul Edge and we see like Hwang when he first like actually grabbed hold of like Soul Edge, he completely became manifested, which you can see in his like two-player costume in Soul Calibur VI. Similar characters that have shards trapped in them or that end up wielding them for too long. Like, I mean, a perfect example is Siegfried literally becoming Nightmare or getting the crystalline armor from 4 from wielding Soul Edge. Every character should have a variation of those two, whether it be Ivy also having a Soul Calibur and a Soul Edge and so on and so forth. Even Voldo. Like, I think it would be really cool to see the parts of those characters. And since even for special characters like Voldo, who has lost most of his humanity over the years from being trapped in the money pit, like guarding his master's treasures all these years, maybe he can be spoken, he can speak like in a possessed kind of way, like Soul Calibur can speak through him instead of just like the grunts and stuff that we get from his normal variation, and maybe it'll be more Malifested aura when he's actually transformed into his Malifested state. I think that could be a really cool variation on the characters, and it would also break down a lot of the barriers online when it comes to like seeing a lot of sameness without like actually customizing the characters or using your created character. If we're actually reintroducing like playered outfits, like let's go crazy and do even like 1 through 4, and we can have like the two-player costumes first, and then we have the Soul Edge and then the Soul Calibur, and then even another alternate two-player outfit on the back end, or the main outfit if you want to consider that the first. So I think like that stuff is really interesting to talk about, and even though it's like kind of a non-starter, I do think it's worth to talk about. A lot of people have come into the comment section or even told me IRL that the things that they want to see in Soul Calibur are like very specific to them, but I think this is pretty general. A lot of people ask me about every character having a joke weapon, or every character having Soul Calibur, or every character having Soul Edge, because they're not just wielding it the same way, right? It's usually like Soul Edge or Soul Calibur attaches themselves to their weapon already and transforms it in some way, but we haven't really seen them transform their bodies so much. Like I said, there's clear instances of characters throughout the series who have been possessed by Soul Calibur or, overtaken by Soul Edge, and they completely physically transform as well. But that's never been actually like referenced or given form to in the form of character select. Like if you're selecting Ivy, for example, you can go through all of the different like whip swords that she has. And there will be a Soul Calibur variation, I mean a Soul Edge variation of that, but it doesn't transform who she is. So I think this 2-player outfits and the 3-player outfits and whatnot should actually reflect those changes to that sword. So that if you do want to choose the 2-player outfit that is like, let's say, Soul Edge, and combine it with her Soul Edge variation on her weapon, it'll give you some kind of aura, and it, like, you literally are just manifested in that costume anyway, so there's no need for like a change that big. That way we can like make our own like headcanons and stuff too, which is like really the last part that would really matter, like, because everyone has their own like fanfic stuff about like Soul Calibur characters in every franchise for that matter. But it would be a lot cooler if we can actually have just the possibility of those characters. Like, we see some characters can transform, right? Like Gro can like control it to an extent and transform into a manifested state. But if you could actually choose like just his manifested state, or just a state even possessed by Soul Calibur where he like looks completely different, maybe his hair's white, maybe it stands up like Virgil, like maybe he just like has some kind of crystalline armor over top of his like black suit that he usually wears. I think a lot of that stuff is possible and doable and would make it very fun. I also think that like we should have kind of stage variations when it comes to that, to add on to that as well. So you know how like in stages we have like the day version of the stage and we have like the night version of the stage? There should also be versions of those same stages that are like endowed with Soul Edge energy, or endowed with like Soul Calibur energy, where like you would have the same stage and the same times of day, but you'd have like crystalline structures like protruding all throughout the stage, and it causes some kind of like variation to the stage. And same when it goes with like Soul Edge, you can have like these dark crystalline, like dark purple or red, or energy and aura, like smoke coming up, or mist, like just some way to like make the stage look like the person is actually wielding Soul Calibur or Soul Edge. Just little tiny things like that. I mean, tiny is not tiny, like it costs like 100 grand to make like a stage basically, but just taking that base stage and adding those structures to make it a separate stage for choosing is also going to kill two birds with one stone, because we're going to have extra stages and we're going to have more canonical things to actually have battles with our friends for things like that. Like, let's say in your headcanon you're like, Ivy was possessed by Soul Calibur and was imbued with her energies and became like good, or fighting on the side of good. And in this case, instead of like going up against like a Kilik who has been manifested, we go up a Kilik who was also possessed by Soul Calibur, or we go up against a Shanghua who's like been possessed by Soul Edge, and like she's like completely transformed and manifested. And I think that that would be a really cool thing just to be able to do, and they'll be fighting on like the stage of like whoever the first person chooses, like normal. But just changing little stuff like that I think would be awesome. Obviously like the voice needs to be adjusted to that too, but they also already have that reverb in the character selector, so I think it's like super easy that if you're actually going to choose the manifested, to give them a manifested voice, and it, like with a little bit of reverberation, and same but at a higher pitch tone, higher end tone for the Soul Calibur characters. And it would basically look like Sophitia would look more like Elysium, let's say, versus like, you know, somebody who has like Kilik's transformation, who's like completely changed manifested wise to character design. I think it could be more slight than that. Maybe like they have a variation of themselves where like their skin's darker, kind of like how Huang is done. How like Huang still looks like Huang, right? He's got different color eyes, different color hair, different color skin, and like some markings. Or we can have even like Soul Calibur, Soul Edge shard protrusions on the characters to make them look kind of cool. Or give them an aura and let you choose the aura. Like, I think a lot of that stuff is overlooked, and a lot of people probably don't care. And if you're one of those people that don't care about this, you've probably already clicked off already, so thanks for watching up to this point, I guess. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because there's a lot of little things that we can do to improve the game overall, besides like just going out into left field and giving them all these crazy like demands and standards. I think this is something that's pretty simple to do. It would cost money, but like it would in the long run make the game appeal, even at like a very surface level of being like more expanded than the last games and giving us more options. I don't know. I just want to hear what you guys have to think about that in the comment section down below. But before we end the video, I want to get to the last video's poll. And I asked in the last video, has the past console exclusivity hurt the popularity of Soul Calibur series? 24% of people said yes, it split the player base. 56% of people reported maybe, but that's over now. 13% said no, we can buy all the consoles. 6% said undecided. And you can see the comments on the screen as we are talking about them. If I was going to vote for them, like I said in my last video, I would say yes, it split the player base, but that's neither here nor there. Everybody has their own opinions based on that, and nobody's necessarily wrong. There's a lot of factors that went into play with that, but that's going to be the video for today, guys. There is a new song that I made on the channel. It's going to be in the end card, and if you want to download it as well as all the other songs, you can hop on the Discord. There's a Mark's Mix channel, and you can just download all the songs for free. Even if you want to use them in your own YouTube videos or your own content on TikTok or whatever you want to do, just make sure to tag me. That's all I ask. Any thoughts are always welcome. As I always say, guys, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.